Okay, so some of you have already gotten problem number 1 on your paper, and maybe even part of problem 2, because I got to different points with different people yesterday or different classes. So if you have done problem 1, you can go ahead and skip through problem 1, not a big deal. But I'm going to go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, and 4 with you, and then I'm going to have you do 5 and 6 on your own. So what we're doing here is we are graphing a line. This is an equation of a line. Mainly you can tell that because there are 2 variables. One is x, one is y, but we have 2. And as long as we have 2, we can graph them on a coordinate plane. And we don't have any exponents. We don't have x squared or y squared. So we know we're going to have a line, a linear equation. Okay, what we need to graph this line is at least 2 points somewhere on this graph, and then we can connect those 2 points with the line. So I'm going to show you how to do the x-intercept and the y-intercept, just a reminder, so that you can get those 2 points without having to turn this into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to rewrite the original equation, and we're going to start there. And I want to remind you that the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. So the x-intercept is going to have an x value, but it's also going to have a y-coordinate of 0. Okay, because anything on this axis has a y-coordinate of 0. It has any kind of positive x or any type of negative x, but we don't go up or down, so our y value is 0. And in knowing that, then we can take that y value of 0 and put it in for the y right here in this equation, leaving us with 3x minus 5 times 0 equals 15. Okay, the negative 5 times 0, that cancels out. That just disappears because it becomes negative 5 times 0 is 0. And 3x plus 0 is simply 3x. So when we know the y value is 0, what happens then to the y term is it disappears. It kind of goes away, so to speak. It becomes 0. It becomes nothing. So that would just leave us with the x term, the 3x. So now that we have just the x term, we can divide the x term by 3 so that we can get x by itself. Okay, and the way we undo that multiplication, again, is by division. So we're dividing both sides by 3. Over here, 3 divided by 3 is 1, leaving us with 1x. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. So when I go back over here, I now know my x value is 5 when y is 0, because I put 0 in for y and solved for x. So I know this is where the line crosses the x-axis at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. So that's the point where the line will cross the x-axis. Now I don't know where else it's going to cross or where it's going to come from. I need to find my second point. So to find the y-intercept, anything on this axis doesn't go right or left at all, so it has an x value of 0 with a y value of anything. It can be a positive y, it can be a negative y, but my x will always be 0 along this axis. So knowing that, I can go back to this equation up here, and this time I'm going to be solving for the y when x is 0. So I'm going to substitute that 0 in this time into the x spot, because now right here my x value in this ordered pair is 0. So 3 times 0 is 0. So that means that this time this disappears. This becomes a 0, and 0 minus 5y is just a minus 5y. So negative 5y equals 15. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5 to get that y by itself. Notice the y doesn't go anywhere. All I look at is the number in front. Divide by this. When I'm adding or subtracting, the variable will move, but when I'm multiplying or dividing both sides, the variable stays there. So negative 5 divided by negative 5 becomes a positive 1, which gives me that positive 1y. And 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3. So now what I've noticed is when x is 0, which we showed right here, the y is negative 3. So there is my y-intercept, 0, negative 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's see if I can actually use my line tool here. we'll just see a line tool, and I don't actually know how to use the line tool. Nope, that's just drawing. I was trying to use a line tool, but now we're going to connect the line. So there's my line. Okay, so that being said, once you have the 2 points on the x-axis and the y-axis, you can connect the lines. Okay, so that's that one. Let's try number 2. Get this out of the way so I can write on the side of it. All right, number 2, I'm going to go ahead and write the equation over here. Whoops, negative 3x plus 3y equals negative 12. Okay, so again, I'm looking for the x-intercept, and I'm going to be looking for the y-intercept. Okay, so to find the x-intercept, my y value is 0. So I'm going to put 0 in right here. That's a 3, sorry, and that's a 0. And my 3 times 0 disappears, leaving me with negative 3x equals negative 12. Going to divide both sides by negative 3. And this time I'm going to get x equals positive 4, because negative 12 divided by negative 3 is positive 4. So my x value when y is 0 is positive 4. So I'm going to be at 1. Oh, I'm counting by 2's, so I'm going to be right here this time. Okay? So now let's try to find the y-intercept. Okay? So I'm going to put a 0 in this time for x. Okay, and that disappears, leaving me with 3y equals negative 12. Divide both sides by 3, and I get y equals negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. So this time I get 0, negative 4. Okay, and so 0, negative 2, negative 4. So there's my point. I have my 2 points. I can connect the dots. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one over here. All right, so this time I'm going to just put the parentheses over here, and I'm going to write 0 for x, and I'm going to leave it open. So let's find our y first. So let's put in 0 for x, because this is x. So 4 times 0 minus 6y equals 12. Notice that goes away, leaving me with negative 6y equals 12. So y equals negative 2. Again, if you don't need to shortcut, let's not. Let's make sure you know that I'm dividing both sides by negative 6. Okay, 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2. So there's my y. So 0, negative 2, counting by 1's this time. Okay, so now let's go back over here, and let's figure out what my x coordinate is going to be when y is 0. So now when y is 0, let's put that in, and we get 4x minus 6 times 0 equals 12. The negative 6 times 0 is 0, so that leaves me with 4x equals 12. Divide both sides by 4, and I get x equals 3. So over here, I'm going to go back over here, and I now have 3, 0 as my x-intercept. 1, 2, 3. I don't go up or down, and I can connect my lines. Notice all my lines are kind of going the same way. It's kind of funny. They're not all going to do that. So let's look at this one over here. I hope they don't all do that. So now let's see if we can find the x and y intercept and do it a little bit shorter. Okay, this time I'm going to put 0 in for x. I'm not even going to write my point out. 0 in for x. Okay, that disappears, leaving me with 3x equals negative 21. So x equals, well, hopefully you know to divide by 3. I should do this. Negative 21 divided by 3 is negative 7. So my x-intercept is negative 7. So I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, and negative 7. I'm not even going to draw the point. I have solved where x is negative 7. So on the x-axis, On the x-axis, I will put my point at -7. When I know I'm solving for the x-intercept, that's what this means. That's what I'm solving for, so that's what this means, equals intercept, because that's what I'm solving for. Okay, so now let's do it again, and this time let's put a 0 in for y. I put my 0 in for x. Sorry, I put my 0 in for y. No, I put my 0 in. Oh, I just did a boo-boo. Let's redo that. I put my 0 in right here, and I wrote x. You guys fix your notes. I wrote x. That disappears, leaving me with 3y equals -21. Okay, I am so sorry. I'm dividing by 3, and this I'm actually left with y equals -7. I apologize. I put the 0 in here for x, leaving me with the y-intercept. That's maybe why we should draw these things out every time and not skip steps. Okay, when you skip steps, even teachers make mistakes. So now since it's y, I'm on the y-axis. Okay, so I'm going to go to y equals -7. I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 7. Graph it. Okay. All right. Now let's try it again. Now let's solve for the x-intercept and put a 0 in for y. I feel so bad. Okay. So now let's put a 0 in for y, and we're left with 7x plus 3 times 0. Okay. The 3 times 0 disappears, leaving me with 7x equals -21. Divide both sides by 7, because 7 is in front of x. The 7's go away, and -21 divided by 7 is -3. So now I can say my x, as long as this is my intercept, as long as I'm solving for an intercept, when x equals -3, and that's my intercept, I can go to the x-axis to -3, and I can now draw my line. I wish I had a line tool that I knew how to, oh, that's just going to move my graph. Okay, well, let's see if I can do it over here. It'd be so nice if I could use a line tool. I don't think I have one. All right, it'd be very helpful since I can't draw lines very well. So now that I have 2 points though, connect your line. All right, that's the end of the video. You can stop, and you need to try 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, and try 7. Just try it.